fuck did we just watch? Well, welcome to Every Film in the Book. This week, I think we're all a little confused here.
We're not confused. We have to shape water.
Yeah, but, okay, the only way to shape water is to freeze it, all right? And they didn't freeze anything in this movie. You think they would freeze the fish man to, like, transport him or something. Like, that's the only way to shape water.
This movie's so not well.
I don't understand. How did this win awards?
Are you looking at me because you want me to answer that?
Yeah, because you looked it up, so I want to know.
You don't want me to answer.
Yeah, so we're watching The Shape of Water.
Yes.
And we kind of just stumbled upon it, and we're like, oh, well, I've heard of this. Let's just watch it. I don't think any of us saw it. Did you see it before?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
Well,
I think if we had seen it before, none of us would subject the others to this movie.
or we would have at least done it on purpose to be a prick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would have
It's like, oh, you know what would be great?
It's super good. It's a love story. It's a little sci-fi. They
Oh,
breathe underwater.
Yeah, like, I don't want to shit on this movie because, you know, it did do well, I guess. I don't know. People seem to like it.
Yeah.
It has a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It was filmed really nice. Like, some of the scenes were really nice.
No, I think it was
well crafted.
yeah.
Okay.
I'll
give it that.
It was very well crafted.
Yes.
The story is wild.
Yeah.
They put a couple things in it that just, for me, just ruin it. A decent love story.
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't think it was a decent love story.
I thought
it
was great. She can't talk, and neither can he.
I mean, it's hard to portray love when the only scene of them meeting is her being like, "Would you like an egg?"
What's with the egg?
And well, to the amphibious man's credit, picked up sign language
faster than I could
immediately.
Super quick.
That's not really saying much, Steve, but
he doesn't even understand the English language, and you have to understand English to understand sign language a little bit. Like,
there's some universal stuff, but
Yeah.
like it's an international
right
language, because pants is something different, but the motion still means pants in any language.
yeah, well, it's American Sign Language. There are different types of sign language.
Yes, there are.
Okay.
We're not sure if this is ASL.
It is, because I recognize the alphabet. I've taken I took a sign language class in high school, actually.
Nobody cares.
I'm sorry.
Nobody cares. We were talking about an egg.
I'm fact-checking you.
That's not as much fun.
I've given you many titles over the course of this show, and now you're fact checker.
Fact-checking
Yeah.
Danielle for the Fishman movie.
Yeah, like.
I think you were the accountant in one of them. Oh shit!
Well, let's hope she didn't get any of those wrong.
It's my name. I spelled it.
The comments are filling up now.
It's just me talking shit.
It's just all different versions of your name writing like, that's not right. I agree with him. It's not correct.
A lot of emojis. So if you've ever wondered how a love story between species in 1950s America would go, this is how it would go.
Pretty poorly, I'd say.
Yeah, so this was pre-Oppenheimer. And
this is
and they are
pre-Oppenheimer.
They're experimenting on a merman, but they're not experimenting on him. They just want to cut him open.
But like, they don't, outside of Michael Shannon being like, yeah, I pulled this guy out of South America. It's like, okay,
they don't really connect the dots much.
Well, like, they don't say anything about like, okay, this is a fish man, we got him, we found him like wandering the desert or something.
Well, it's not about what he is. It's what he feels in his heart, Steve.
Yeah, that's.
Gee whiz. Did
Yeah,
we
but-
watch the same movie? Are you sure?
I feel like Beauty and the Beast told a better interspecies love story than
Well,
this fucking movie.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm going to fact check now. He turns back into a man, so it wasn't interspecies.
Well, he was a beast at a certain point. She had to love the beast to get to the man.
Okay, but like you are right, Steve, that they didn't make any connection to why they had him like in a science facility, and then they did like more than halfway through the movie.
Well, okay, so
They said we're going to space.
yeah, that was the explanation.
He has water lungs and air lungs. So,
and that somehow equates to no atmosphere or oxygen.
Well, he can adapt to different things. So there might be a piece of something they could learn to help humans in space.
Yeah.
You got to remember.
Wear a suit full of oxygen.
Yeah, well, they hadn't done it yet.
They
hadn't done it yet. Pre-Oppenheimer, pre-Interstellar,
Pre-moon landing.
Pre-Interstellar.
Pre-moonfall. There was no moon gouges on the planet.
Yeah, Christopher Nolan didn't come up with movies
Actually,
yet.
the moon hitting the planet awoke the amphibious man from his slumber, allowing him to be captured, brought back to America to be studied because we got to go to space.
Okay, it's
because
a sequel
the
to
moon
Moonfall. I get it.
Is a what was it?
Superstructure.
The superstructure.
What was this movie and what is this episode?
So yeah, they randomly pull a fish man into a lab, and instantly our main character Eliza is like smitten with this thing.
She sees him once because the guy who's running the whole operation gets his fingers cut off.
Yeah, Michael
by
Shannon.
creature.
I love this guy. Like he
so
plays
mean.
such an evil
he does
evil
that
guy.
well.
Cause he does the same thing in like Knives Out, where he's just like that monotone, like, I'm an asshole and I'm gonna tell you about it.
Yeah, he plays a FBI guy in Boardwalk Empire, and it's the same.
Same kind of thing.
No one likes you. Your coworkers hate you.
It's the haircut too.
Yeah. I feel like if you had that kind of like boxy haircut back then, you'd sound like this, and you'd only give it to your wife, missionary.
Which they showed us. It was uncomfortable.
That
for
was
all
very
of us.
uncomfortable.
It was like unnecessary.
Like-
but, I mean, I guess it was a little.
Oh, is this
necessary.
one of the things they put in that ruined it a little bit?
Well, I mean, okay, so this was a Guillermo del Toro film, and like he normally puts stuff like this into his movies, like stuff that makes you uncomfortable. Like there's always seems to be like in his films, there was this like article about it where somebody's always getting like stabbed or like shot in an uncomfortable place. Like it's always like cheeks or like armpits or like something like that. So it's like it definitely he doesn't shy away from like the grossness of like these characters.
And like we said, it was well crafted.
Yeah.
Like it was there wasn't anything that made me like, well, why is the camera up there? Or
like the effects were great,
Yeah, it
and
was all
the
great.
underwater stuff was also really cool to look at. But yeah, I don't know what it is about the whole story. Just wasn't.
Well, it's
Yeah,
so
it's kinda weird.
implausible
Yeah.
because we're fucking a fish man. Like,
they were making love.
oh, sorry, we're making love to fish man.
Just one.
Just
several times.
like, all right.
See, I think my problem with it
Okay.
kind of is that they didn't do any element super well. Like the romance wasn't super great. The science side of it wasn't super great.
Non-existent.
Yeah.
And then like the action-y sort of like espionage story
Yeah.
was
Yeah,
also
the
kind of
spy
weird.
stuff was weak.
Like,
Their plan was kind of just
Thrown
kerfuffled
together.
together.
And they had no problems. Like they got
Yeah,
out
well,
immediately.
and it was like either focus on, kind of him as a captive in a science experiment and
Right.
her freeing him storyline, or focus on like the communist espionage kind of storyline and like how the fishman is involved in that.
I feel like we say this a lot. Is like they did too much, not well enough.
Right,
Where
right.
if they would have taken two elements out and spent a little bit more story building on those other things, it would have been much better.
Also, can I just say that
Mhm.
they kept calling the mermaid man like beautiful and all this stuff.
Right.
He did not.
It's kind of ugly.
He did not. really
lady,
do it for me.
Lady,
personally.
just stop right there. That guy was shredded like a julienne salad.
Did you look at its face?
He stands up for the first time.
Oh
and I'm just
my-
like, he's got an 18-pack.
I'm like, my God, this guy's been hitting the gym day one. Like, in this world, he's been doing sit-ups on top of sit-ups on top of sit-ups. This guy is jacked.
And to get that physique in water where buoyancy exists, you got to be moving a lot of weight.
That's like Superman level
Oh, yeah.
strength right there to get that body.
Okay, but he's going to have to put a bag over his head because he can't look at his face.
Yeah, but it won't matter when, his... thing.
The open and the pair.
It's like, whoa,
That's like, all right. What a weird description. But also, it conveys the meaning pretty well, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, just take that at, take that men at home with smaller things. A fish man's got heat.
That's completely unnecessary, Steve.
No, that movie made me feel inadequate with that description. Like, Jesus
Really?
Christ.
I thought she was more so describing where it came from.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it has a little...
It
does
wasn't,
it, like,
it
come out
wasn't
like a little
size.
patch?
It was function, not size.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, I think she also enjoyed it, so...
She says also, never trust a man with a flat front or whatever else.
Like,
what?
What kind of men do you see
How did
walking
you-
around naked?
How did you write that and then not just piss yourself laughing? It's like,
Yeah.
this is serious dialogue. I want to go into my film that's going to win lots of awards.
No, and
Never
like,
trust a man with a flat front.
the freaking scene in the bathroom when Michael Shannon walks in and he's just holding a whole conversation pissing, and then he's just like, no, real men don't wash their hands. You either do or you don't, and I don't. Anyway, it was real nice talking to you. It's like, what the fuck are we
Well, he's
doing?
like, you either do it before or you do it after. You don't do it
It
twice.
says a lot about a man. It's like, no, it doesn't. Also, why are you watching other men piss in the bathroom?
I'm going to go home and fuck my wife with my bloody fingers. Like, Jesus Christ. This, like, he is the most disgusting person
I feel
I've
like they
ever
did that on
seen.
purpose, and they did that well.
Yeah, and like he plays it off well, and like just the minute this guy walks on screen, you're just kind of like, all right, you.
Well, in the what was it in the intro, the poem or the monologue at the start, they're like, they say something about a monster, and I think all of us were like, well, I bet it's not the actual fish man that's a monster.
Oh, so it's like the evil boss man. So
Right.
he's the monster.
I
Okay.
forget what episode we were talking about this in, but it was like when a movie opens with narration, it always kind of like takes me back a little bit because I'm like, all right, if you got to front load this plot,
right?
Like, what are we doing? Like, is this going to be good? Like, is this necessary to tell me, or are you just telling me because this story is so outlandish that like I need that extra bit of setup to like wrap my head around?
I think it immediately sets it up for being like artsy, and you're like, oh, it's one of those
like,
movies.
oh.
It was artsy, all right.
Yeah,
It's artsy.
well, and it's one of those things where it's like, okay, so you need to tell me, okay, so sometimes romance can be beautiful when you fuck a fish, man.
And I love how they describe it like no one's ever watched a movie before.
Right.
They're like, this is a love story, and it's like
again, like Beauty and
we
the Beast
saw-
doesn't exist.
or like all of the other there's entire genres of films dedicated to the feelings between other people.
Right.
Twilight.
And
I could go on.
And
We're
the
fucking
cover
vampires.
the cover is like two lovers intertwined.
It's like, oh
my word.
it's like Romeo and
Swirling
Juliet,
around
but
each
with more finger stuff.
There was a lot of finger stuff in this movie, but not that kind of
Yeah,
finger
no.
stuff.
Oh my God. I'm like, I don't like. Again, I don't even want to go through this because it's like, I'm.
Oh, we're not. We're not
what,
going to do that.
Like, what the fuck? But like, there were certain scenes, like when he starts like glowing and he's like doing like the whole like
Super
kind of like
dope.
healing thing.
Super cool.
I was like, okay,
And
cool.
Dude gets his hair
Right.
grows back. The
I'm
wounds
like,
on his arms heal.
Can we explore more of like what makes this fish guy cool?
Right.
Because that would be fun.
Because it seems like he's kind of cool.
Yeah, like, oh, cool. He's got healing powers. Like,
I would have loved to seen like scenes of his life before, just like glimpses of like
Right.
where he came from. I don't even care if they went with the whole she is half mermaid because she has the gills. Like, I would have taken that story.
Okay, so
she was dumped in the river.
Right.
And she had those scars. And they say in the film, who would have done this to a child?
Right.
Clearly the fish man who was trying to get laid 30 years later.
But like, all right, so you take a movie like Creature from the Black Lagoon. You kind of have this same story.
It's got a little vibe to
it.
But
it makes more sense when you bring the people to the creature. Not so much bringing the creature to the people.
Yeah, because the last time it was a giant monkey and he broke a bunch of buildings.
Right. I mean, yeah, that was pre-Oppenheimer too. So come on.
Yeah, or else they'd have used that.
Everything is now just pre or post Oppenheimer.
Is it pre or post Oppenheimer? That's a good way to measure things.
Dates have become meaningless. The radiation remains.
But yeah, it's like you gotta give something about the fish guy.
Right.
Like, it can't just be, oh, they worshiped him as a god. It's like, okay, well, I mean, people always bitch and complain, like, oh, you're showing too much flashbacks, you're showing too much backstory. Like,
well, do a 12-minute segment, and then we don't need the opening monologue.
Yeah,
That's
maybe
true.
instead of,
Dun,
like,
dun, dun.
you know, Eliza floating down from the ceiling in a meaningless, like, dream sequence in the beginning, you give me, like, Michael Shannon capturing the fish man. And like maybe the people that worship this fish man are like, no, you can't take the fish dude. And he's like, no, fuck
he'll
you.
heal all of you. Watch out.
Yeah, exactly. Or like something like of like consequence for taking this fish guy.
The healing powers. I don't think any of you noticed this. That's why I'm bringing it up now.
Okay, all right, bring it up.
Did you notice how he healed?
He healed?
He healed the ones he loved. But dude's fingers turned black and fell off.
Mm-hmm.
He could have
healed him.
fixed them.
Well, I think that was a little more due to poor
going too deep.
Surgical
Going too deep.
knowledge
Yeah.
Going
in
too
the
deep.
50s.
Michael, you're digging like a 10-foot hole in a 2-foot movie here.
Look. Could have healed him.
Could have healed him. But
if he had any love in his heart.
So it's like you're trying to say like they're portraying the message like, oh, if we just love everything.
Yeah, love one another.
It'll heal us.
And you won't have to pull your fingers off to make a biblical statement.
I mean, I'll give it to him. If I was trying to intimidate somebody, I would want to rip my fingers off in front of them. I feel like I would get every bit of information. like seriously, Michael, if I was like, where's the bill money? And you're like, oh, I'll have it. And I ripped off 2 of my fingers. You'd be like, all right, it's in the mail. Like, here's a little extra for your inconvenience.
Well, I wouldn't have given you extra. Let's be honest. So the fish man
Yeah. Tell me about the fish man.
chained up, getting experimented on.
Yeah.
And falls in love with a woman. What else can we say? That's literally the whole film.
Yeah, that whole part of it, right?
Yeah.
Romance side. Someone mentioned earlier that it had a good romance plot. And that
was me.
Yeah,
it was me. I like love stories.
You
Leave me
know,
alone.
Michael picks some good ones. You know, get some bad ones in there.
Oh my word! They lived happily ever after, and she got gills. Okay, it's pretty dope.
But okay, so my problem with it is,
yeah.
They saw each other a couple times. She fed him eggs, and then she captured him, and then they fucked.
Made love. Gee whiz.
Sorry,
like,
they made love.
It was way better.
Sorry, folks at home. They made love.
They made love.
Okay,
it was beautiful.
It was romantic.
It wasn't just a.
It didn't seem romantic to me. I don't know. Like,
okay, it's romantic when you flood your bathroom to have sex.
The amount of work they put in to
my
experience
God.
that together just shows how much they care.
Like,
I want to fill my bathroom up like that. You think I can?
do you think we could if we stuck towels under our door? You think
the drywall would just?
I mean, we don't
melt
have
away.
wooden floors in the bathroom, so it wouldn't like leak into the theater beneath us. But like,
It's just different construction times. You know, the plaster would have held water for a considerable amount of time. Drywall, not
like,
so much.
hold on,
'cause
can
it's wet wall.
somebody look up while we're talking about this what this beat out for Best Picture? Because like,
I have a phone down here.
It better be the only one that was put up for Best Picture,
Like,
or I'm gonna be unhappy.
I think it was 2017.
what 2017? Like what could this have beaten out? Like what? It must have been a shitty year in 2017.
I don't remember.
Academy Award.
Yeah, see what we got. Like, not to throw us completely off, but I don't care. I need to know what this beat out.
Yeah, they never told us The Shape of Water, so it really doesn't matter what we talk about.
But like, no. Speaking of The Shape of Water, like they have. I guess they're just going in between these like dream sequences. Like I guess that's what they're trying to do, make it seem like a fantasy world.
Yeah.
But when she's like running her hand on the bus window,
too much.
That was like
that was
the water's moving.
Yeah, I thought
one of
that
the
was
things.
supposed to be something, and
yeah,
it wasn't.
like because that was after we saw them like they got down and dirty, and he's like embracing her, and like he's all glowy. So I thought he was like giving her powers or something.
Well,
like,
I mean,
but then
I don't think those gills were there from the beginning. So I
Right.
think he had a fin in it, because you can't say like hand. He had a hand.
had a
He had a
fin in it?
hand in
Oh,
getting her
Jesus
gill.
Christ, we're doing
he had a
puns
fin
now.
In it. Why
All
not?
right, I have the list.
What
Okay.
what did it beat out? Steve,
Okay,
please,
so
please read them to us.
I will say the year before was La La Land in 2017.
So
Okay.
they just
And
set
then
a precedent
2018.
for being
Yeah.
dog shit at
Yes.
giving awards.
Yes.
out.
Okay.
Cool.
So this was the 2018 Academy Awards. Okay. So Shape of Water, Darkest Hour. That was the God. What was that? The
doesn't matter because
yeah,
it was
doesn't
bad.
matter.
Yep.
Dunkirk, which was a better movie.
Yeah.
Phantom Thread,
Boo.
Get Out,
Boo.
The Post,
Dunk-
Call Me by Your Name,
Oh, that's a good film.
and Lady Bird. I
Lady
wanted to see Lady Bird.
You gotta.
Well, we'll put it on our list.
Yeah. We'll have
Let
to
us
do
know
that
at
one.
home if you want us to watch any of
Because
those.
I've heard that one's really good.
It's
Lady
not.
Bird.
It's not unrealistic that it won, and they did do some different stuff.
Right. I mean,
Eh.
but like outside of making it a fish man, what did they do different?
Nothing. They could have replaced the
Because it's the
Fishman.
same thing. It's Michael Shannon is Gaston, and he's like, we gotta kill the beast. Like
Yeah, but they could have replaced that for just like some dude in jail, and she's a janitor at the jail.
Yeah.
and she breaks him out of jail.
Which I'm sure there's like 15 movies on Lifetime
Yeah,
about
Shawshank
that.
Redemption.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Shawshank Redemption.
Oh yeah, remember that one?
Let's not degrade that film. by
Yeah,
bringing
no,
it up
seriously, we're about to get hung here.
here. Although, it wasn't the greatest movie ever, but it was an excellent film.
Yeah,
Defined a generation.
Morgan Freeman's fantastic. You can't deny that. But like, I don't know.
The Fish Man.
He was the Bye Bye Man, so that's cool.
Yeah, Doug Jones.
Doug Jones.
Yeah, I mean, we need more roles for him. Like
Honestly,
he's such a great body
we need,
performer.
We need better stories for the roles that he played.
for
Yeah,
for him to be in.
true.
Also, he's-
I wish he showed a little more of his face, or like that they put more of his face into the.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to read emotions in a
Well,
blank fish face.
Well,
Yeah.
I could tell. I could feel it, Steve.
Well, you are the most emotional one here.
Right.
See, when he was being like aggressive and chopping into people's flesh, he was angry. But if he held you close and
or
purred,
he's just doing it completely by accident, running away, ashamed that he just ate your cat's head.
You were either bleeding or he loved you.
Yes.
yeah,
That was all.
two extremes. He's a little bipolar,
Oh my
but
god.
he loves really hard.
He's
like,
learning. He's
can we-
learning.
Can we at least just say, okay, so Michael might get this reference. I don't know if you will. So Hellboy.
Yeah.
Hellboy.
Shockingly similar to the look of this creature.
Abe Sapien looks exactly like this.
Shockingly.
So I wanted to ask you, like, if you heard this, when this came out, people were thinking, since Guillermo del Toro did the Hellboy movies, that this is like a prequel to how Abe got his backstory and how he kind of
Yeah, they should have provided backstory then.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so either
No, I can
fandoms
see-
are
I
like
can see that.
grasping at straws, or we're just like, oh, it's another blue fish guy. It's probably the same guy.
Now, what would it serve to tie in these
Hellboy
creatures?
with
well,
that.
The other thing is we only see the one room at the facility.
Right.
We're not sure how they could have had hundreds of these rooms, and Hellboy could have been, 15.
That would have been an interesting
Would've been
add-on
cool.
if it was like there was more than just one experiment going on, and like Octavia Spencer and Eliza are like
Right.
wandering around and being like, oh, what are they doing in this room? Oh, what are they doing in this room? And then it's like something to be like, oh, so this is more than just we happen to find this thing.
Yeah,
and
but
we're bringing it
if
in
they
here.
did that, it would have taken away from the love.
Yeah, also, I have no idea what that facility was for except for this one room. Like, they didn't really
Yeah.
show much of anything else.
Well, they had a
a
tank
few
built
pieces of
and-
equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but,
but like outside of them finding this random fish guy, what are they doing on a daily basis?
I don't know.
They were just chaining him up and cattle prodding him, and then avoiding your boss because you're not meeting specific deadlines.
I just love, we're performing science. Watch. He feels pain.
Yeah, really. It's like he's bleeding. He has blood. It's like, okay, cool.
It's like, watch this. He punches it. He's like, look.
Well, they
didn't like that.
The only science thing is the only thing they do is they say it's to help us survive in space because we're trying to do that.
But that's like 2 sentences. Then they never bring it up again.
The other one sentence, solitary sentence, is he can switch from air, lungs, to water, gills, to absorb the oxygen. And then the only other thing they say is his like outer shell is made of like cartilage, which is like what fish are made out of. So we knew that already.
So another
fish man.
But like another detail that doesn't make sense. You just said it there. So they want this thing to help with the space launch.
Yeah.
Because they're like, the Soviets can't have this.
Yeah.
But then, like, so they're implying like the space race, like we're, that's part of history, whatever. We're trying to beat the Russians into space. But if that is the whole goal, then why do they ultimately decide, oh, we just got to cut this thing open and go into it? Because you can't study it once it's dead.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying during the movie.
Right.
That's how they did a lot of stuff back then. Like, oh, we don't understand it. Kill it and see what's inside.
Like, how did we get anything done if, like, the first thing... Well, let's see what its heart looks like.
Also, well, even if we can't understand it, we don't want the Russians to have it. It's like we could have like different planets by now.
Yeah.
If they would have just allowed everybody on the Google Drive thing and just put their findings every day up there, it would have been great. Like what they did in Arrival.
Right.
If we'd have just done Arrival,
the whole world comes together.
We would literally have 18 different planets by now and all be shooting laser guns.
And Arrival was so much better of a movie.
Oh my God. Well, yeah, because Arrival told a story worth telling.
Yeah. This one was a story that should have been worth telling.
But
if you're into fish people.
And like I think it's the same thing that kind of happened with us with La La Land. Like going into this, like, I mean, at least me personally,
so much
going
hype.
into it knowing like, oh, it won awards. Everybody's saying this movie's so good. Like, I don't know if it's like maybe we missed the hype train again, where it was like the same thing with La La Land.
I feel like I'm glad we missed the hype train.
Yeah,
for a lot of these, but I'm also constantly disappointed by Hollywood. Like I'm just constantly disappointed, unless it's like an action movie where it's like, we know what we're getting for that. We know what we're getting for sci-fi.
Sit me in front of the Expendables. I'll have a good time because it's mindless and it's stupid and whatever.
But when you say, oh, this is beating out movies for Academy Awards, I expect multiple brains to be used.
Right.
It's like they let the fish man write the movie.
They found him in a swamp and they were like, write a movie. And he's like, okay. But yeah, like I don't know, man. It's maybe we're just contrarians. I don't know, but it's like
I feel like in order to enjoy good, well-crafted art, you have to be a little bit of a contrarian because it's like we have to be able to sift the wheat from the chaff. You know what I mean? And this was definitely a whole lot of chaff.
But like, and I mean, there's movies where people are like, oh, it's amazing. Like, you know, like
we watch it, and it's like, bro.
It's like what are we watching? Like what happened that made this amazing? Right. Like what separates this from every other like weird fish out of water, no pun intended, story?
He had air lungs too, Steve.
But yeah, like
8% saline solution to keep him alive.
Oh yeah, and some weird random green salt. Is he doing bath salts? Is that what gives him his power?
Some sort of algae, something that has. It's like
they don't explain that, but they put it in these very nice crafted hat boxes.
He needs one of them every 3 days.
Yeah, the only reason I could put 2 and 2 together is because I had fish, and I know that if you put them in water that doesn't have like a certain amount of bacteria in it, they'll die. Like you have to have like this.
Now, have you ever kept fish in a bathtub? Is there enough bacteria in a bathtub?
And it turns into a man.
But also you need to filter out the ammonia that builds up in the water, which she was not doing. Although she was changing the water, so that's good.
Which happens naturally because we shouldn't keep things in cages. But I digress.
Not even the weird diseases you're getting from letting a fish man inside of you.
First of all, that's probably what allowed her to have gills.
That's fishman pregnancy. You get gills.
I think he gave her a little magic juice. If you know what I'm saying.
I think it was a lot. I think it was copious amounts of magic juice.
Well, I mean, he's been in a lab for months. Like he's been built up.
I feel like
he's not like her jerking off every fucking scene.
What was it?
Masturbating furiously or something?
No, it wasn't that graphic.
No. It just said masturbating, breathes heavily or something.
Heavily as she sets her egg time.
And you just hear the...
I'm like, what are we
Guillermo,
doing?
what are you doing, bro?
What are we doing? Why is this, like, I get you're trying to, like, get people used to you're going to see some shit. It's about romance. Everybody's an adult here. However, when the first scene of your opening of your main character is her beating off like furiously in the bathtub to an
She's
egg
a lady.
timer.
Describe it better, Steve. My word.
She's
enjoying herself in the bathtub.
She's petting the puss. I don't know.
That's even worse.
But like, if that's your opening setup for this character, I'm like.
And it's
like, what am I supposed to get from that? Like, she's
we
open
understand.
sexually.
No,
like I don't know.
She's as closed as possible. She's with herself only. But
true.
We get it. She's a sexual being. It's like, isn't everyone? Okay,
Doesn't everyone
all right.
Wait, why didn't we see everybody masturbate?
Right, everybody should have been in that bathtub.
But do we need 3 separate scenes of her masturbating?
Yeah. Well, clearly because it was in the movie.
It was in the montage.
They'll show us that, but they cut away from the fish fucking. Like
making love.
Sorry,
it was not. It was not carnal. It was tender in nature.
Then show it to me.
They did by the build up to it.
But she closed the curtain. I would have liked a little bit of thrusting.
They showed a serious difference between. Don't cut me off, Steve. They showed a serious difference between her and the fish man making love and evil boss man and his wife having sex. There was a clear difference between the two.
They were embracing each other.
Now you may continue. Sheesh.
But if you can show me and basically make me hear, why do you have to close the shower curtain when she's about to get entered by the fish man? Let me see that. If the whole point of
Is there rules against that or something? Because it's not a human?
I think it might have been the CGI they were concerned about, you know? They didn't want to have to worry
But I mean,
about...
if like Doug Jones...
It wasn't a real fish man?
No, I mean, Doug Jones could be a fish man. We don't know. I don't know his private life.
Probably just in a motion cap suit.
No,
they
was
put him in a
real
suit.
Yeah, that was a real
suit.
suit.
Yeah. That's why he looked...
same as the Hellboy thing, too.
Yeah,
he was
put
all
him in
done
a suit.
up. I bet they used the same suit.
They just made him a little more
They
finny.
just added stuff to
Yeah.
it. They used the same suit, 100%.
But what was it? Something about I don't care.
I'm tired. I'm tired of the opening shot of the main actress being nude.
Yeah.
Tired of it. Show me who she is, not what she looks like under her shirt. Show me some story. I'm tired of it. They do it all the time.
It's
super
right
annoying.
off the bat.
And she enters frame, removes clothes. It's like, gee whiz.
At least let me see her. Nudity can be artsy, whatever.
That's great.
But like, you gotta give me like something to the character more than just but look, she's naked.
Look, it's like now we're supposed to pay attention.
Yeah,
cool.
let me care about the character, and then it's like, okay, you want to show me the artsy side of her body? Cool, whatever. But like, don't just be like, hey, look at it.
You're right, because that's what it was. Opening monologue, weird dream sequence, breast,
and she's masturbating. It's like, all right.
A bit much.
That's not like
a bit on the gills.
That's not setting up the romantic movie. That's setting up. Oh, cool! Look, there's
sex object only.
Yes.
She's only here to facilitate sleeping with the fish man.
Right. That's
because
a great
that's
point.
how we get the plot across. It's like.
Yeah.
No, that's a great point.
Well, that's what I kind of mean when I say like the only thing they really did was look at each other and touch each other for like a moment, and then instantly.
Yeah, but he
they had
didn't
sex.
glow for anybody else.
Well, he glowed for the
transluminescence.
He's a glower, not a shower.
Bioluminescence. That was awful, Steve. I stand behind it, but it was awful.
Oh, that got me. Sorry.
Okay, so I will say I had this thought as we're talking here that I feel like if they were going to end the movie with them being happily ever after, don't you think they should have shown him bringing her back to like his home underwater or something?
I would have welcomed that.
Like some sort of like, this is their new life together.
I don't even like the 2 years later.
Right.
But if they would have done a 2 years later and he returns with her.
And they had like a little half fish, half human baby?
No. I'm talking about he goes back to where he lived because the tribe hasn't been able to worship him. He returns back to the people that worshiped him and fed him. And so does he think of her as an equal, or is she worshiping him just like the tribe did and offering him food?
Right.
So that would have been cool to see.
Well,
or like a beaver dam underwater comes up. And
Well,
there's
like-
this
I
little
was
fish
imagining
house.
like Atlantis.
Like, listen.
You went way different than I did.
Like,
I was thinking fantasy.
This movie was 2 hours and 3 minutes.
Enough time to meet the fish family.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even if you wanted to throw 10 more minutes on the end of this thing, just to wrap up this, now she can breathe underwater and now she's in love with this fish man, just to show, like, doesn't even have to be a 2 years later. It could just be them swimming over the barrier of that, like, dam or reservoir or whatever it was.
Right.
You just show them swimming down. You show, like, lights, something at the bottom of the ocean,
And they go
implying,
towards it.
Yeah.
And
It's
the
like
little
this whole other
bubbles,
world.
Anything.
the bubbles trail behind,
Just
and
to
then
be
the
like-
credits follow the bubbles.
Yeah.
It could have been great.
Exactly. Like, Muppet fucking Treasure Island did that. Okay?
That's what I was doing.
It's already out there. So it's like, just like, just anything. Like, it doesn't even have to be like just imply them swimming down to the bottom of the ocean together. Just so it's like, oh, okay, so they have a future, something's happening, he must live down there. Give me anything other than them holding each other. Oh, look, it's a beautiful shot. They're underwater and they're on the same level now. They both can communicate. Cool.
Or they come and visit the old fella.
Right.
Again.
The neighbor that
And then
meant so much that
he-
apparently we just ditch at the end of the
Right,
movie.
at the end of
right.
it, he's like, wow. And he was saying, he's like, I'm all alone. Well, now he really is. Because
Yeah.
his best friend literally learned how to breathe underwater to get away from him. So,
What does that say about you?
Yeah,
Right.
it's like, oh, you must be a shit conversationalist.
okay. Things I didn't like.
Yeah.
You ready?
Wait,
Yeah.
so all we were just talking about
That was all we
that was
liked.
what you liked?
That's what we like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
and now we're on to things we didn't like.
All right, cool.
I shouldn't just say the whole movie because I did like a lot
Like I
of
said,
stuff.
I liked how it was filmed.
I liked the movie.
Guillermo
It was
does
cool.
good shots, and like he sets up scenes well. But when there's no story behind those well set up scenes, it's like, yeah, there's beauty behind it, but there's no substance.
I think the two main things I was unhappy with was one, the just her bare chested right out of the gate. I'm tired of it. It's just it doesn't make me want to continue watching the movie. I was already watching the movie.
Right.
Like,
I already sat down for
right.
this shit. Let me just see it.
Like, I don't get 20 minutes into a film and be like, well, she hasn't taken her shirt off yet. I'm changing it. It's like, well, I have the internet, okay?
No, this is for all the dads at home who are like, oh, man, he's fucking... Oh, tits. That's cool.
All right, I guess I'll sit here and watch this with my wife.
All right, whatever, romance. Oh, titties.
What great art content.
Those are for the fellas.
Actually, those are hers, and they're for the fish man. Number two, things I didn't like.
Okay.
I said this earlier when I was kind of ranting about things before we started doing this. The musical number?
Yeah, why?
Should we just start?
Have we not talked
Why?
about
No,
it yet?
we didn't.
We didn't
The-
touch on this, and
Okay.
I was hoping we would just avoid it.
No, we're getting into it.
All right.
The whole story predicates on the fact that she cannot speak. She is a mute. She has been this way since birth. She has never spoken a word. Hey, right in the middle, she's going to sing a musical number right before she gets gills.
Right, and...
Yeah, and guess what? You have to watch it because we put it too far in the movie for you to want to turn it off.
This is an Academy Award winner. You're going to watch
Yeah.
it.
Well, so Michael, I think the reason they did that
Gee whiz.
is because they wanted to show how much she deeply cared about him, and they could only do it through song.
Okay. You know what's
so
more
silly.
Like,
you
but
know what was more beautiful? Her explaining to the neighbor why she needed to save this thing.
That
and
was
the
a
emotional
wonderful
sign
scene.
language,
You've
the
never
crying,
never
the
hit me.
tears.
yeah,
There is
that's
your
a good
emotion.
performance.
Yes, but this musical number that comes out of nowhere,
They did
and all of a
okay.
sudden the girl that you're now emotionally connected to through her sign language and through her body language is now singing at me.
Right. So she does the whole mute thing well. I don't know anything about the actress. I'm assuming she can talk. Also, I don't really care. But she did great at portraying that. She starts mouthing it. She's sitting across from the fish man at the table, and he's not paying attention. But she doesn't care. She's just pouring her heart out. So it kind of gives you the thing where, like, it's in her head. Like, okay, we've done some floaty, weird stuff in the film. Fine. But to go into one of the TV shows that she watches and she finds, because she does the step number with her friend on the thing. So she enjoys that
They
type of
do like a
entertainment.
little bit of tap dancing, just like a little bit. And then they do that. Like, I feel like they were really on the coattails of La La Land and trying to incorporate dance and musical numbers into the movie.
I have a feeling Guillermo del Toro did not pull anything from La La Land to make this film.
But like
I do see your point.
I mean,
though.
like, it's that vibe.
Like, I did like the tap dance. It was a cute character trait between two friends.
If that's where it stops.
Yes, if
Yeah.
it stopped there and it's like, oh, it's a cool little thing like the neighbors do with each other. It's how they bonded. It's how they connect.
And we'll
like,
sit on the couch and just randomly make up a song about what's going on.
Right.
It's
Like,
just
it's-
we're all
I
weirdos.
break out my tap shoes and whip out a
Right.
number real quick every other Tuesday. But
yeah, I know. It's Tap Dancing Tuesdays. We wait for it every week.
Ugh.
I actually tap danced for 10 years.
She's now inside one of the programs. And they did make a point to go back to what's on TV and who it is.
Right.
And her and the friend share that in common. But to go inside of that, pulled away from, at least for me, it pulled away from the situation where he was looking down and they put kind of like a spotlight on her.
Mm-hmm.
I was okay with that because, it's not about how he receives it. It's how she's expressing it.
how she's portraying
Okay, I get that. Have her stand up and walk around him and sit back down and then go back to reality.
Right.
Don't
Don't
do
break
a
into
bunch
this
of mushrooms
dance
and
number.
you know it's
No, because I totally agree. Where it's like that, like in a movie about her making love to a fish,
right.
that is what took me out of it.
Right.
Is this jarring out of nowhere?
At least
we're doing a 1950s musical.
At least the continuity was still there, as since that was a fantasy in her mind, she didn't have her scars on her neck,
Right,
which
right.
Is, you can see in the thing.
Yeah.
And she was actually expressing something because you could see. I hate this doesn't have to do with anything at all, but when people are singing in movies
Mhm.
and their neck is just like this at
Yeah,
like a
there's-
note that takes force and to expel that
Like they're
kind of
belting?
music, and nothing happens in their neck, they're just like, "Hi, I'm Aretha Franklin." It's like, no, you're not. Your neck moves in order to sound like Aretha Franklin.
Well, yeah, that would mean that they're not singing along to the music.
But like,
as it's
I
playing.
noticed stuff like that.
Wait, people aren't really singing in movies.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but when you record
he wasn't
it,
a fish man either.
when you record it, you're supposed to sing along or like say the
Right,
actual lines.
so it does that
yeah.
kind of thing.
Well,
I
and
like the continuity of it. Whatever. No.
And not to bring up our old episode, but I'm pretty sure in the Dune episode that's
Shameless
about
shelf plug.
yeah, in the Dune episode that just came out, I'm pretty sure I'm like, this is some of the stuff where like movie magic works on me, and it's like, oh my god, how did they do that? Like, this is when you take movie magic to like a little bit too far,
Right.
when it's like you're already in like kind of a fantasy world. There's a fish man walking around. We're keeping him in a bathtub, whatever. But then when you break into the even more fantastical and you're in like a whole dance set and there's an orchestra
And
and
it
they're
stops
doing
being fantastic.
and they're doing like a tap dance number with a dude in a fish suit and a lady singing a song in a dress. And it's like, I'll fucking suck the dick of the Lord of the Rings all day. I love the fantasy stuff, but when you take it to like, if there was a tap dancing number,
the whole thing.
Yeah, like if all of a sudden Frodo broke out into song like I have to return the ring, like,
you would maybe feel a little different.
I would get pulled out and be like, what the fuck are we doing in this movie?
Yeah, I pulled out of all of them because I didn't like them. But
keep the music in the musicals, please, and keep
like,
the movies.
If you're gonna do a musical, like,
make it
and tell a story with it, you got like a movie like La La Land does that well, where it's like there's music and there's story.
Check out our La La episode.
It was also called La La Land,
right?
Yeah,
but
if you want to know how we felt about it, go check out that one.
Even if they would have, it's in her head. Okay. Right. Even if she was talking as a mute, because that's how she sees herself conveying this message.
Right.
That's fine. The Fishman dancing was just not what I wanted.
Yeah. I was like, the only thing that would have made it worse is if they put him in like a tux and they had him like dancing.
No, that would have made it better.
It probably, the sad thing is it.
A little top hat and a cane.
Yes.
Yeah. And he's doing the.
Yeah, I think they should have gone further with it.
Yeah.
But the fact that they put like the instruments in the background, there was like people in the background. I'm sorry. If I'm in my fantasy, no one else is there. It's all about me. Thank you very much.
But that also
me and
like
the Fishman
almost takes away from the fantasy because now it's like real. Because there's real elements to it.
It pans out and her neighbor's watching that on TV.
Right.
Like what are you doing?
Yeah.
All right, that's enough about the musical number.
But like I don't know. I'd say either we weren't the right audience for this movie, which I will take and I'll be fine with. I'll never watch this again and I won't feel anything about it. But I also think we're not wrong in being like,
no, because it's an opinion. Everybody can have their own.
Yeah. Where it's like, this has been done better.
Yeah.
I don't understand why this is held to such a high standard. But, who knows? Maybe, again, we missed the hype train. Maybe this, isn't our type of movie. But like,
I'm saying something that wins awards shouldn't need a hype train.
Also that.
Also, if you're going to get first place, it's because you did the best.
But I feel like, all right, if
not
you're
because
winning,
of the other nonsense that we can't talk about.
It's either you did the best or the other ones weren't as good.
Well,
right, right. And that's acceptable for competitions.
And I feel like, okay, if you're being called the best picture of that year, any Joe Schmo off the street should
short films better than this. I
right. Well, like no, if you're saying it's the best, anybody should be able to sit down to this movie and be like, okay, that was enjoyable.
Right.
But I don't think this hit that mark.
Also, it was for Best Picture, and this was a movie.
I think that just about does it.
That one got you. That one got you a little bit.
Yeah, no, I'm done with you after that one. But yeah, no,
I couldn't help myself.
Yeah, I think that, I think we said all we can really say about this one.
It was a lot of hype and not so great.
Also, she got nice little lady gills, and he had like monstrous
he had
gills.
Gross gills.
If they would have just
is she going to turn blue? Anyway, never mind. That's for the sequel. The other
Where's
Shape of Water.
Where's the sequel? The Shape of Water Part 2.
Please don't make a sequel. We're begging you.
Make it a trilogy.
Guillermo, stick to the other ones.
Yeah, make another Hellboy so we don't have to sit through David Harbour doing this shit again.
Or just maybe not even make another Hellboy.
All right, that too. But yeah, from everyone here at Every Film in the Book, we'll catch you guys next time.
Goodbye.
From everyone here, and there's 3 of us.
From all of every
one of them.